Gentlemen, welcome to the Irv Homer Show. It is Friday, November the 28th, 2008, and it is the day after Thanksgiving. It is Black Friday, and I know that biggest percentage of you folks are saying, oh, I'm never going to eat that much again, right? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. But we have a lot to be thankful for, and each person in their own way, I suppose, can identify the way they feel. Once again, let me remind you, we're broadcasting from irvhomer.com. My website, to check it out, is brought up to date almost on a daily basis, is www.irvhomer.com. You can email me, as so many folks do, at evilerv@irvhomer.com with questions, comments, suggestions, whatever you want to say, negative, positive, feel perfectly free just to send an email. Once again, the technical facilities are put together by RGH Computer Services, and they deal in all of your computer problems, especially security, which is most important today. They can be reached at 215-322-8685, 215-322-8685. Ask for Ron. If the problem can't be resolved over the telephone, they'll make an arrangement at your convenience to come and look at computers or bring it over to the shop, fix it, whatever the case may be. And we've got some positive response from the work that RGH does. Their number, once again, is 215-322-8685. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're old listeners, we thank you for being loyal. Let me remind you that this coming Monday, December the 1st, at 1 o'clock, I will return to WBCB 1490 AM airwaves in Levittown, Pennsylvania, covering Levittown and Trenton and Morrisville and the area there, and it's a little powerful station, and I will be doing the program from there, but we will continue to do our program here on the television cameras. If the program works out well at WBCB after a month, maybe next year we will be doing a simulcast from their studio, but everything is based on finances and other things that have to be taken into consideration. So in the meantime, I'll be doing two programs, one Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from WBCB Studios in Levittown, Pennsylvania at 1490 AM from 1 to 2. If it works out, we'll go 1 to 3. And if it works out real well, we'll then do a simulcast on the television show that we do here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 o'clock. Program here is totally different than what you will probably hear on WBCB, since this is non-commercial and we don't have any problems with worrying about what we say as long as we tell the truth. And if you find it not to be truthful, feel free and correct me. I have no problem with that. I don't know the answer to everything, but I do have a lot of experience in the many years that I've been on planet Earth, more so than many of you folks have ever been involved with. I was preparing a program tonight on the justice system, especially in Philadelphia, from personal experience that occurred this week. But something has come up more important, I think, than a personal situation that occurred with me and the justice system. It was over a break-in into one of my cars. Nothing tragic, no murder, no there, but just a break into one of my cars, and had to go down as a witness. But I reflected back on what to do on tonight's program, and I guess I went back to 9/11 when I was working on the weekend from 10 to 12, or was it 8 to 10? 8 to 10 on WPHT. And also working at WBCB, and they asked me to come in to do the night show for 3 nights. And I have to admit I was kind of radical. But the big question that I came up with that night was, what has the rest of the world got against us that they would take 3 aircraft, 4 aircraft, 5 aircraft, and crash it into the World Trade Center, into the Pentagon, and out in Pennsylvania, and I couldn't get any answer. And I said to myself, we, not you and me, folks, because we don't have any power. We, the people, have no power unless we take to the streets. But that's another story. And I said, what the hell did we do to these people that would make them want to kill 3,000 people? What the hell did we do to them? What did we do to the Japanese in World War II to get them so damn mad that they bombed Pearl Harbor? I mean, these things just don't happen out of the clear blue sky. And when I talk like this on WBCB on commercial radio, people get all bent out of shape. They're screaming at Grace Place with the program director. Was he crazy? They blew up the World Trade Center, Building 7, then all the theorists come up, with the buildings really weren't blown down, they collapsed, and all that crap. The fact of the matter is, I saw with my own eyes 2 airplanes at the World Trade Center. Wasn't dreaming. A lot of people died. So now that this mess in India is going on, and as we speak now, there are still hostages that are being held. The confusion over there is unbelievable in Bombay. I call it Bombay. That's what it was when I was growing up, and it's still Bombay as far as I'm concerned. And so it dawned on me late this afternoon when one of the reporters kept saying during the program on CNN, MSNBC, C-SPAN, that they were looking for American passports and British passports. And of course, the tragedy at the Jewish center there, in which the rabbi, his wife, and daughter were killed. But of all the people that are in Bombay, why the Americans? And I said to myself, what did we ever do to the Indians? We welcome them here in America. We do a tremendous amount of trade with India. A lot of our technical advice comes from India. Call in for service on Rise Up, you get somebody in India answering the question that you got here. We don't even have an information center here in America for America products that we don't have to call and get somebody from India. Whether it's medicine, whether it's computers, whether it's television, radio, whatever it is, you're talking to somebody in India. And India has learned to teach their people how to speak English so that you don't know the difference. And a light went on in my head. And I said, Irving, something happened in India many years ago that America was responsible for. And so I called my son Ron. I said, Ron, while I was having dinner tonight, get into the computer and get information on Bhopal, India. You can check it out yourself. Bhopal. The Bhopal disaster. And I remember that. And that reflected back to using Agent Orange in Vietnam. And I really get tired of people saying that I'm un-American because I introduced this type of information to the American people. Someone, ladies and gentlemen, in government or industry is acting around the world in our behalf and creating all kind of hell. And we're getting the blame and are the victims of some of this terrorism and the hatred that is generated against the American people, who basically have nothing wrong to these people. We did nothing wrong to them. So who did? And what did they do? So Ron, the computer whiz that he is, dug up the information for me. I will inform you to the best of my ability, because this is all the information that Ron got off the computer for me on the Bhopal disaster. And what I will do is give you the highlights that is in here and let you make up your own mind whether or not the Hindus or the Muslims of India, with the problems of Pakistan and the problems of Kashmir, why would they be mad at us? What do we do? We're their trading partner. We're their buddies. We have Indians all over America. 7-Eleven, gas stations, Dunkin' Donuts, they're all over the place. And we accept them in America. They have their little enclaves of communities, their churches, their mosques. Somebody somewhere along the line doesn't like us in India. And maybe after I give you the information here on the Bhopal disaster that I'm familiar with, because at the time it occurred, I was on 50,000 watts of WWDB, explaining to my listeners this tragedy that occurred in India points right to America. And let's assume that India had a company in America and 8,000 people were killed as a result of that company's operation here in America. How the hell would we feel? So if you'll bear with me, those of you who want to get educated, those of you who want to learn, those of you who are not interested, more interested in Dancing with the Stars, turn out the program. I really don't care. I know that I know, and I knew then what happened. So if you'll bear with me, I will read to you from the official report. The Bhopal disaster, folks, was an industrial disaster that occurred in the city of Bhopal, Pradesh, India, resulting in the immediate death of more than 3,000 people, according to the Indian Supreme Court. A more probable figure is that 8,000 died within 2 weeks, and it is estimated that an additional 8,000 have died since the gas-related diseases. The incident took place in the early hours of the morning of December the 3rd, the anniversary of which is coming up soon, in the heart of the city of Bhopal in the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. A Union Carbide, an American company, subsidiary pesticide plant, released 42 tons of methyl isocyanate gas, exposing at least 520,000 people to toxic gases. The Bhopal disaster is frequently cited as the world's worst industrial disaster. The International Medical Commission on Bhopal was established in 1993 to respond to the disasters. And it goes into the background and the causes in the summary. But I'm going to skip most of the information here and go on to the plant location. Now you must remember that in 1984, when this occurred, America had already agreed to the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, in which the United States government paid American corporations to go over outside the United States and open up plants and manufacturing facilities. So this is a year after the OPIC bill was passed. And so American companies were fleeing America, but they had to lose. We, the taxpayers, were ensuring that if anything happened to those companies, we would reimburse them dollar for dollar. So Union Carbide decided to move to India. A long-term cause of the catastrophe was the location of the plant. The authorities had tried and failed to persuade Carbide to build the plant away from densely populated areas, but Union Carbide explained their refusal on the expense that such a move would incur. And because India needed the business, they agreed to let Union Carbide build near the town of Bhopal. What were the work conditions in that plant, and who established them? Was it the Indian government, or was it the American government, or was it Union Carbide? Well, some of the cuts meant less stringent quality control and thus looser safety rules. A pipe leak, don't replace it. The employees said that they were told, don't replace. MIC workers needed more training. They could do with less. Promotions were halted, seriously affecting employee morale and driving some of the most skilled workers elsewhere. Workers at Union Carbide in India were forced to use English manuals despite the fact that only a few of them had the grasp of the language. By 1984, only 6 of the original 12 operators were still working with Union Carbide, and the number of supervisory personnel was cut in half. No maintenance supervisor was placed on the night shift, and instrument readings were taken every 2 hours rather than the previous and required 1-hour readings. This was American Corporation Union Carbide in India. Workers made complaints about the cuts through the union, but they were ignored. One employee was fired after going on a 15-day hunger strike. 70% of the plant's employees were fined before the disaster for refusing to deviate from the proper safety regulations under pressure from management. So the management of Union Carbide told them, the employees, don't pay any attention to the safety systems that we put. You deviate from them. And 70% of them said they wouldn't do it, and so Union Carbide fined them. It emerged in 1998 during civil action suits in India that unlike Union Carbide plants in the USA, its Indian subsidiary plants were not prepared for such problems. Because in America, Union Carbide plants were required to adhere to certain tragedies that may occur. Well, they weren't obligated in India, so that's why they went there. No action plans had been established to cope with incidents of this magnitude. This included not even informing local authorities in India of the quantities of dangerous or chemicals used and manufactured at Bhopal. Union Carbide's tanks alarms had not worked for 4 years. Well, did they have previous warnings of this? You'd say, gee, somebody must have done something. Well, in 1976, 2 trade unions reacted because of pollution within the plant. In 1981, a worker was splashed with phosgene and panicked. He ripped off his mask, thus inhaling a large amount of phosgene gas. He died 72 hours later. In January of 82, there was a phosgene leak when 24 workers were exposed and had to be admitted to hospital. None of the workers had been ordered to wear protective masks. In February of 1982, a Union Carbide leak affected 18 workers. In August of 82, a chemical engineer came into contact with liquid MIC, resulting in burns over 30% of his body. In October of 82, there was a leak of methylene carbonate chloride, chloroform, and hydrochloric acid. And attempting to stop the leak, the MIC supervisor suffered intensive chemical burns, and 2 other workers were severely exposed to the gases. During 83 and 84, leaks of the following substances regularly took place in the Union Carbide plant: Union Carbide, chlorine, monolethylamine, phosgene, carbon tetrachloride, sometimes in combinations. Reports issued months before the incident by scientists within the Union Carbide Corporation warned of the possibility of an accident almost identical to that which occurred. The reports were ignored, never reached the senior staff of Union Carbide. Union Carbide was warned by American experts who visited the plant after 81 of the potential of a runaway reaction in the MIC storage tank. Local Indian authorities warned the company of problems on several occasions. Again, these warnings were ignored. I'm just giving you the highlights, folks. The other is technical. Medical staff were completely unprepared for the thousands of casualties. Doctors and hospitals were not informed of proper treatment methods by Union Carbide for gas inhalation. They were told to give them cough medicine and eye drops. The gases immediately caused visible damage to trees. Within a few weeks, all the leaves in the Bhopal, India area fell off. Complaints of lack of information or misinformation were widespread. Not even the medical doctors at the Bhopal plant had proper information about the properties of these gases made by Union Carbide. An Indian government spokesman said that Carbide is more interested in getting information from us than in helping our relief work. Well, what was Union Carbide's defense? They sold the company to Dow Chemical, is what they did. Now owned by Dow Chemical Company, Union Carbide denies allegations against it on its website dedicated to the tragedy. The corporation believes that the accident was the result of sabotage, stating that safety systems were in place and operative. It also stresses that it did all it could to alleviate human suffering following the disaster. However, the company was investigated by the consulting firm of Arthur D. Little of America, which concluded that a single employee secretly and deliberately introduced large amount of water into the MIC tank by removing a meter and connecting a water hose directly to the tank through metering port. However, when the safety engineers of the government of India investigated, they found no trace of any type of sabotage. The charges against Warren Anderson and others, CEO of Union Carbide, Warren Anderson, had been arrested and released on bail by the Madhya Pradesh police in Bhopal on December the 7th, 1984. This caused controversy as the trip to Bhopal was conditional on an initial promise by Indian authorities not to arrest him. America went to bat for him. Anderson has since refused ever to return to India. So you're saying, Irv, that's back in 1984. That go back to... Well, guess what? In July of 2004, the Indian Supreme Court ordered the Indian government to release any remaining settlement funds to victims. The deadline for this release was extended by the Indian Supreme Court in April 2005, giving the Indian government until the 30th of April 2006 after a request from the Welfare Commission for Bhopal gas victims. The fund is believed to amount to $500 million after earning interest from money remaining after all claims had been paid. Well, how much money do these people really get? Dow Chemical Company purchased Union Carbide in 2001 for $10.3 billion in stock and debt. Dow has publicly stated several times that the Union Carbide settlement payments have already fulfilled Dow's financial responsibility for the disaster. Well, now Dow owns it. Dow didn't cause it, but Union Carbide is now off the hook because Dow Chemical Company now owns the plant. Investigations in Britain on November the 14th, 2004 reported that the site is still contaminated in 2004, November 2000. That's only 4 years ago. It is still contaminated with thousands of metric tons of toxic chemicals, including benzene, hexachloride, mercury, held in open containers or loose on the ground. Some areas in 2004 reportedly so polluted that anyone entering the area for more than 10 minutes is likely to lose consciousness. Rainfall causes runoff, polluting local wells and boreholes. These are all of the factual information of where this information is gleaned from. The case, ladies and gentlemen, from December the 3rd, 1984. And we're coming up next week on December the 3rd, 2008. That's that's 24 years ago, that 8,000 people were killed by an American corporation in Bhopal, India. And it is still an open case in the Indian courts and in the American courts. And so I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, in all honesty, if your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, cousin, relative was killed by an Indian corporation here in America, and you grew up knowing that your parents, your loved ones were killed by an Indian company who ignored the safety standards of the country of origin, which is India, and they built a plant here and manufactured these toxic chemicals in Kensington, Port Richmond, Upper Darby, Bucks County, and 8,000 people were killed? Will you forget about it? The average compensation that has not been paid yet as we speak, according to these records, is $2,200 that has been put aside but never been dispensed yet. $2,200 is what you would get if some loved one was killed. Now, did we as American people do that? No. Did you even know Union Carbide had a plant in Bhopal, India? Either? Did the American government know it was there? It sanctioned it. Under the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, we encourage Union Carbide to leave America and build the plant in India so it doesn't have to meet the safety standards that were required by Union Carbide here in America. And what I'm pointing out to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. What have these people in Washington and these multinational corporations been doing around the world? Killing people through industrial accidents, through UN police actions that you and I are becoming victims of? (9/11), terrorism, blowing up of buildings, holding Americans hostage in Iran during the Carter administration. What the hell are these people doing around the world? In 9/11, the world was on our side. Today, the world hates us thanks to the Bush administration, I suppose. Harry Truman said, the buck stops here. Well, the buck stops at George Bush and his administration, as far as I know. Does that make me un-American if I bring you this information? Did it make me un-American in 9/11 when I sat on 50,000 watts and I asked the public, what the hell did we do to get these people so damn mad at us to kill our American citizens in the World Trade Center? Who the hell? I didn't do. Did you do anything to them? I don't know what the hell we did to them. But I had to look and find out. What the hell did we do to the Japanese if they bombed Pearl Harbor? Do you know? You know why Hitler decided to invade Europe? It's all in the history books if you read it. And when you read and study and analyze the history of the world, you then get a clear picture that, thank God, we have a strong military to protect us. But if we didn't cause all this crap around the world, not us, but the people who guide our lives, who we elect to office, whose billions of dollars we invested in the stock market to build their plants around the world that are unsafe, and place the people at risk, and we pay the penalty for it? I spoke to a gentleman yesterday morning on a conference call. Yeah, Thanksgiving morning, 10 o'clock, I was on a business conference call. He happens to own 10 747s, 707s, 727s. And he was leaving yesterday afternoon for India, for Bombay, India. He was also a pilot and the owner of the company. I won't tell you who he was taking, because he didn't give me, not the names, but the personnel that he was taking over. Does this sound kind of mind-boggling to you? And this is why I feel that I don't belong on commercial radio or commercial television. Because I guess I embarrass people. I guess I annoy them. I guess it's better that ignorance is bliss. $250,000 people exposed to a killer gas, 8,000 dead. The case has still not been adjudicated in the courts. After 24 years. And the people of India are supposed to love us? I don't get it. We have a telephone line here, and I guess you're not going to call about that. 215-253-8877 is the number. We also have a chat room here. Should I reveal this information? Should I make you aware of why they're looking for Americans in India, these terrorists? And how many terrorists are we creating by killing thousands of Iraqis and thousands of Afghans? How many terrorists are we creating by killing innocent Afghan people and innocent Iraqi people? I'm just asking, that's all. We've lost 4,000 people, give or take a couple hundred. Our allies have lost about 4,000. So there's been about 8,000 so-called coalition of the willing. We're the good guys. But how many enemies are creating by us in Iraq by killing, and I don't even know what the body count is. I don't know how many Iraqis we killed. Do you? How many Afghans have we killed? I don't know. How many Pakistanis are we killing on the border? I don't know. Can we expect the heirs or the children of those people to love us? And so the question is mind-boggling. What were we spraying in Vietnam? Agent Orange. Well, them little people in them black pajamas, they didn't deserve to live anyway. What the hell did they do? Right? So we sprayed the whole place with Agent Orange, decontaminants, destroyed the vegetation. The 7 chemical companies that we had here in America were ordered by the government to make some type of defoliant that would kill the forests in Vietnam, so we could find these little guys in these black pajamas that were killing our troops. What they forgot to say was that we were also spraying our own troops with it. And so many a Vietnam veteran came home suffering from defoliant poison. We poisoned the water, we poisoned the air, we poisoned the trees, we poisoned the forests, we poisoned everything in Vietnam. But our boys were living there, and we were poisoning our own boys. And so I was involved in the court case of the 7 chemical companies. The 7 chemical companies' defense was, we made it for the government. And when Dow and Monsanto and Union Carbide and Roman Haas, DuPont, told the government, our government, that we don't know what the toxic effect of these deflautants will be to human beings. Don't hold us personally responsible for the damage that it may do to human life or vegetation or animal life. The United States government said we'll assume the responsibility. Now what could have happened is America could have been charged by using chemical warfare in Vietnam. Anti-American statement. We have a caller on our line at 215-253-8877. Are you there, sir or ma'am?
Where they hung up.
They hung up. Okay. Our telephone number, if you want to get on the line, is 215-253-8877. For the few of her out there, should I reveal this information that I have a complete portfolio on of things that we've done around the world? You're on the air, sir. Go ahead.
Hi, Irv. This is Jim from Hatfield. I just tuned in your program about the Bhopal incident. I remember back in '84 about that, and I remember that Union Carbide was involved in it. Mm-hmm. What exactly were they making over there? Were they making Agent Orange?
No, they were making chemical deflautants and actually weapons of mass destruction is what they were making.
Yeah.
They were manufacturing things that we were reluctant to manufacture here in America.
So instead of making it in America, we just dumped it on India and make it over there. It doesn't matter where a few thousand Indians get killed as long as some Americans don't get killed.
That was the reason, plus the fact that Union Carbide did not have to adhere to the safety regulations that they were required at their plants here in America. Because India at that time in '84, well, before '84, when they first went there in the '70s, they were so desperately financially distraught that they were glad to welcome foreign investment. And Union Carbide had them by the short hairs by saying, look, you either build it our way with our safety restrictions or we're not going to build it. They pleaded with them not to build in heavily congested areas, and Union Carbide said, no, it's going to cost us too much money. We want it near a workforce, and that was Bhopal, India. So if India probably was as financially strong as they are today, they would have told them to get out.
Yeah. And then we again told them when safety instructions were in place to completely ignore them?
Yep.
Too?
Yeah. To ignore the safety regulations. In fact, the 4 supervisors that were told Union Carbide were fired. And 70% of the workers.
Unbelievable.
And
now you know why the people around the world don't care for us that much.
Well,
they just move in, tell them what to do, and then they get scared and they say, well, what about the safety regulations? Don't worry about them. It's not going to hurt you. Just create a little orange cloud, and you can breathe it after a couple of years. Just like Edward Teller said about radiation. Don't worry about it. It's like dandruff. It'll rub off your shoulder.
Yeah, and every time we've had a nuclear disaster like 3 Mile Island, it's an incident. We had a nuclear incident at 3 Mile Island.
Oh, I know. And we came within about, I don't know how much, but probably within a half hour of that whole thing going critical, and that was all hushed up. Nobody even around the Harrisburg area, and I had a few friends out there, they were never even told the truth. Because Thornburg lied to them, and he brought in President Carter and all that, and I guess they decided, well, don't excite the people, just go along with the cover-up. Because the worst thing we want now is a panic situation.
Yeah, well, I remember the time of the 3 Mile incident, and they had asked me on the air, well, what's your suggestion? I said, well, the suggestion is that all of the CEOs of Limerick and of 3 Mile Island should be required to live within a 10-mile radius of the plant.
I agree.
And raise their families there. And when we did an investigation, the CEOs and the major stockholders of both Limerick and 3 Mile Island didn't live anywhere near the plant. Wouldn't even live near the plant.
I think that was Metropolitan Edison that owned that whole complex.
That's right.
Out there.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, keep up the good work, and more people should hear this.
Jim, thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, and have a great weekend.
You have a great weekend and a good holiday. Jim from Hatfield. Our chat room is open for your questions or comments, and my question is, am I un-American by speaking like this? And did you ever hear of the Bhopal disaster? Jim happened to be one of the informed Americans that was aware of it in 1984. Should this be reviewed? Does that make me one of them liberal? Does that make me one of those bleeding heart liberals that you hear talked about? So my question is, what is the government doing around the world and these multinational corporations in your name and my name that our boys have to go to Iraq and Afghanistan and serve 2 and 3 and 4 tours? Oh, they volunteered. Well, see, I have the perfect draft, ladies and gentlemen, in the event of a war, or whatever this thing is, in Vietnam or in Iraq. You take the richest kids in America and you draft them first. See, you take the rich kids who have the most to lose if this country's overthrown. Now, there's some poor kid down here whose pop and mom worked their behind off and go in debt for the kid to go to college. In a communist country, he may get his education paid for completely, may get his medical care paid for. So poor people really don't have much to lose if the political system of the country changes. But the rich people have a lot to lose. So wouldn't it make sense to take the DuPont's kids, the Kennedy kids, the Harriman's kids, the Romanowitz, take all of those multi-millionaire kids and put them in the Army first, because they've got the most to lose if America loses a war. And then you draft according to the income level of the family. The poor guys go last. And the rich guys would fight harder to keep what they've got. I was in town the other day, the people sleeping on the vent. Think that guy cares about the recession? He don't give a nothing. He would sleep on the event of the communism. He would sleep on the event under capitalism. But the guy who was in front of me in the parking lot, that had the S500 Mercedes, if he loses, he would fight like hell to get the guy on the vent to fight the war. And that's only common sense. The people that have the most to lose should go in first and fight the hardest. We got do you know, I did a story, and it's in my briefcase, of a grandmother with 3 children fighting in Afghanistan?
Wait. Was it 3? I thought it was 6.
6 children, excuse me.
No.
6 children. And she's in the Army fighting, while the Kennedys are on their yachts and on their boats and having a ball. Common sense does not reign supreme in America. My name is Irv Homer, and we're broadcasting from irvhomer.com. My website is www.irvhomer.com. You can email me at evilerv@irvhomer.com. And it's the grandmother that's taking care of the 6 kids. I'm sorry, I thought it was the grandmother. The grandmother is taking care of 6 kids, while the mother of those 6 kids, single mother, is over in Iraq fighting in the military. And what about the lies of this administration? The football player Tillman, who got killed by the enemy when they found out after the parents investigated that he was killed by friendly fire. Guy had a whole football career ahead of him. Gave up his football career and millions of dollars to fight to preserve the dignity and the honor of America. And then when he gets killed, this son of a bitch Bush had the nerve to lie about his death. The lie of the 2 women who were captured by the Iraqis and then released, that they went with their gun. The Iraqis went in there and picked them up and took them out and gave them medical treatment. The black girl and the white girl, remember? Lie after lie after lie after lie of the Bush administration. are the right-wing conservatives honor and dignity in America. Let's make America honorable again. Let's give this country some dignity and get rid of them lying son of a bitches that are on radio and television and they're in Washington, D.C. They're the bastards that are the liars. They're the ones that are destroying the dignity of America while you and I pay the price. Can you speak like this on commercial radio or television? Of course not. I still have yet to find out. Maybe somebody who gets on the archive, because we have a very small audience listening or viewing the program tonight, can explain to me, if you were an Indian in Bhopal, India in 1984, even today, hell, we've even forgot about the 3,000 at 9/11. You ask the average boobus on it, what happened 9/11? I don't know. Who's your congressman? I don't know. What's the First Amendment? I don't know. You think things are going to change in this country under Barack Obama? He's going to be so damn frustrated dealing with the boobuses that elected him. Take a look at his hair now. It will be white in a year. He will have a long, drawn face in a year. And his wife, Michelle's going to say, Barack, you know what? I think we're nuts for being the president and the first lady. Is the ignorant masses of this country, ladies and gentlemen, worth saving? Are they worth saving? Our telephone number, 215-253-8877. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I think I gave you a little bit too much information tonight. I don't want to strain your brain. In my life, I've had 3 corporations involved in one now, in which we have a board of directors. And yesterday, an important decision came up in one of the corporations that a decision had to be made by Monday. So fortunately, the board of directors were available, and they're spread all over the country, so we had a conference call at 10 o'clock yesterday morning. And there are certain decisions that I will handle myself. Some I will take an advisor that's in the corporation. But there are some decisions that I feel, and the president of the corporation, I'm not the president, I'm the secretary treasurer, feel that it should be board approved. And because of the expediency of this decision that has to be made by Monday, figured we would send out all the information by email, let them review it, and have a conference call yesterday morning, Thanksgiving morning, and I applaud the board for all being able to respond, some as far as way as Chicago. And so we reviewed the board. The board's decision was that if we can't get an extension of time to read the full contract for at least 15 more days, then although it sounded great, the board decided not to do it. And so one Monday, when the principals of this other organization call us, we will speak to them and say, look, if you give us 15 more days, let us review it, let the board review the papers, let them speak to their legal advice, let them speak to their people, we'll give you an answer. So it was a board decision. Now, let's move over to General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford. All of these senators and you boobuses out there are screaming about the $10 million golden parachute that the heads of these companies get. Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, Goldman Sachs, all of them have failed. And these guys got millions of dollars severance pay. Did anyone ever ask Did the board of directors of these companies approve it? I don't know of any corporation that can spend that kind of money for one individual, whether it's a CEO or CFO. They can expend that kind of money by themselves and just write them a check for $10 million. All of this baloney that you hear on radio and television about these millions of dollars that these executives are getting are with the approval of the board of directors of General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, Goldman Sachs, CIG. It's with the approval of the board. Now, if my board of directors approves me to get $10 million, fine, thank you very much. That's what they're getting paid for. Why is it that the Boobuses, the Limbaughs, and the other idiots don't ask who are the board members? Why don't they publish the board of directors and see how they voted for these millions and millions of dollars that were given to these CEOs? Does that make sense? I bet you never even thought of it yourself. I'm Irv Homer. Our telephone number 215-253-8877 to our chat room. Irv, I was looking at agreements between Russia, Pakistan, and India on trade, financial, and military. I think the attacks are a payback to Russia for the war in Georgia. What better way to get back at Russia than to have two of its allies fighting each other and drawing Russia into it? Bill in Northeast Philadelphia. Well, Bill, I would say that your theory is as good as any of the other theories that are around. The agreements between Russia, Pakistan, and India are only good if they all adhere to them or agree to them. What happens if one violates it and the other one doesn't, or vice versa? But the hatreds in those areas are strong. The hatred of Russia for us in Afghanistan, where they lost 16,000 people, is a hatred toward America. The public forgets about. They think the war in Georgia was from North Carolina trying to invade Georgia. The whole mess there in that part of Europe, Bill, was established by false borders after World War II. And then when the destruction of the Russian Empire, when the Soviet Union collapsed, they established other false borders. And when you have a majority of one ethnic or religious group living in an area that was set up by artificial borders like Georgia, in which the Hindus are the majority, but the Russians are ruling them, you're going to create a controversy. The problem is, all three of those powers have nuclear weapons. They do have strategic and non-strategic nuclear weapons. They have chemical warfare. They have everything under the sun. And your analogy is as good as anybody else's, because until we find out who these terrorists are in India and whether or not we're going to torture them or waterboard them or anything else, we really aren't going to know. Bill, I thank you for your chat room comments. They're well worthy of discussion. I'm Irv Homer, so I am. Our telephone number is 215-253-8877. I gave you the information tonight on the Bhopal disaster. You can look it up yourself, Bhopal, disaster, Bhopal, India. The case is still pending in the courts. The crazies were out today The crazies were out today. Now, Christmas is December the 25th. Today is November 28th. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Did you see those hordes of idiots breaking down the doors of the Walmart in which a Walmart employee was trampled to death? Are the masses of people crazy in the head? Is this what Christmas is all about? Is this what Christmas is all about? Plastic Santa Clauses on the lawn? Fake white icicles hanging from your doorstep? A disgrace. And I'm not even Christian. But Jesus must be looking at are these people nuts? Look at them. Like ants breaking into Walmart, Circuit City, Men's Warehouse. They're going crazy. I never did that in a million years. Now the Jews have to join the bandwagon with Hanukkah. The Jews are going nuts now. We're going to have a Hanukkah sale and all the Jews go crazy. Next year, the Muslims will go crazy. They'll be selling Korans at discount. This is the world you're worried about saving? And we're not the only crazy ones. In England, Italy, Scotland, Ireland, you kill each other in a lousy soccer game. People have been killed daily, every year. The Italians play the Spanish. They kill each other from the stands. The guys are playing, they're killing each other. The British killed the guy. The Irish, well, the human race is totally and completely nuts. Now we've got Christmas. And people be running, what should I get Louis? What should I get him? Don't give it. It's not their birthday. It's Jesus' birthday. What the hell are you giving somebody a present for? It's his birthday. It ain't yours. It ain't your father's. It ain't your kids. It ain't nobody. But we're not going to vote for a president who agrees on abortion. Those mass of people that were in the malls, in the traffic jam, and I avoided them. I did some very local business that I had to do, and that was it. I was sitting in my lounge chair. I think I was watching Harrison Ford movie. Tonight I think I'll watch a Marx Brothers movie. Or the Three Stooges. Are you people nuts? And don't forget answer. And don't forget send this one a card. Don't forget send him a card. Don't forget someone. Oh, I didn't get a card from you. You didn't get a card from me. I didn't get a card. You should get a card from me. I don't give any gifts, so I don't have to worry about it. I give 2 gifts this year. 3. I'm going to give my dog an extra bone. You can't buy affection. You can't buy tradition. You can't buy love. You show it 365 days a year. You don't act like a goddamn nut running in the stores, trampling over one another, grabbing and pulling and screaming. And I got to see you, beep, 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 beep. I don't know about you, but even though I was a kid, that scared the hell out of me. But then you're going to see the clock run down. 21 days till Christmas. 20 days till Christmas. We'll be open till midnight. No, we're going to open 5 o'clock. Half of you people are peeing at 5 o'clock in the morning instead of you're standing in line at Walmart. 90% of them had bad breath, I'll bet you. Were you one of those kooky birds? To save a couple of bucks, get up 5 o'clock in the morning and stand in line with a bunch of other people who had to pee or break and win. and then break the doors down. You tell me the human race is sane. You tell me the human race is sane. Well, I don't know about you, but when I see mobs like that, I'm scared. But do your own thing, whatever floats your boat. Just don't do it in the street and scare the horses. I'm Irv Homer. The next time you hear my voice will be on WBCB 1490 AM at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Much of the chagrin of many of the people, and I can name it, I'll tell you exactly the 6 callers that call that station. They've got 6 callers. It's the Roger and Pat Show, and the Ruth and Pat Show. Irving, you're nasty. You just can't keep your mouth shut. I'm Irv Homer. Till the next time.